In this video, we are going to discuss important aspects of research proposal, and we will cover the main frame for the research proposal. For example, the research proposal is usually composed of the cover page, the title, the introduction, including the problem statement, the research question, questions, the hypothesis, the justification and the rationale, the objectives, the research methods, the work plan, usually displayed as Gantt chart, the budget, the references, annex or annexes that are to be attached. The research methods should include the study design, whether it is descriptive or analytical or experimental, and, and as well as we have to describe the study area or the setting, which is so important that we describe the administrative and geographical location of the study area and the study setting. And this is important for the reviewers and the readers to understand where the study is planned to be conducted. And as well as we have described the study population, for example, to include the main characteristics, the socioeconomic status, the overall census of the study population, and as well as the inclusion and exclusion criteria. In addition, we have to describe the method of data collection, including the list of study variables based on the specific objectives, and as well as we have to describe the outlines of the data collection instruments, including the whether it is a questionnaire or interview guidance or focus group discussion, and how the data will be collected and who will collect the data, and if ever we are planning to train the data collectors, to train them on what and for how long. In addition, we have to describe the sample size and how we estimate the sample size, which formula we are using for estimation of the sample size, and if we are using a statistical package or software, you have to describe exactly how you estimated the sample size. In addition, we have described the steps of the sampling technique or the sample method, and this is very important, whether the sample method is simple random or systematic sampling, or stratified sampling or cluster sampling or multi-stage sampling. We have to include the various steps we are planning to follow in order to draw or to select a sample that is representative for the parent population. In addition, we have to include under the research method the ethical considerations, and usually we have to include or to state that the research proposal will be submitted for ethical review and approval and technical approval by the Institution Review Board or the Research Ethics Committee, and as well as if we are planning to conduct, for example, a study as community-based or a study in a hospital or in a school, we have to approach the authorized body and to have permission from the authorized body for the conduct of the study. In addition, we have to state clearly that we are going to get informed consent from each participant before interviewing him or her. In addition, we have to describe the data analysis plan and which elements are to be included, whether it is univariate analysis or bivariate or multivariate with the program that you are planning to use. The research proposal divided as suggested course of action, suggested work plan that put forward for consideration and review by the concerned institutional body, whether it is an IRB or Research Ethics Committee, for technical review and for ethical review as well. What is the aim of the research proposal? The aim of the research proposal is to just suggest or to propose a research project that you are planning to implement. For example, you are planning to conduct a study about the epidemiological pattern of tuberculosis among school children. Then we need to know this project, and then you need to know about the objectives, the research questions, and the methods you are planning to use for finding answer for the research questions. In addition, to formulate a detailed plan of the project, including methodological and theoretical frame for the research project. It's important that you include the theoretical frame. For example, in the introduction, you give background information about the problem generally, in a general background, and as well as about if any gaps that are existing in the database, and you are trying to conduct the study to fulfill such gaps. And also the methodological frame, which methods you are planning to adopt, as we have mentioned in details, that you need to describe the study design, the study setting, or the study area, study population, etc. In addition, to demonstrate that the proposed or suggested research can be implemented and accomplished within the available resources, whether human or physical or financial resources, and as well as you are required to submit a work plan or timeline in order to show that the research project will be implemented within the scheduled time. To show that as the researcher, you have adequate and acceptable competencies to conduct the project, as usually the researcher is requested to submit the CV so that the concerned bodies, whether technical review committee or ethical review committee, they make sure of the that you have the adequate expertise to conduct the research. In addition, the research proposal is put forward for technical and ethical review and approval by the Institution Review Board or the Research Ethics Committee. Usually, the IRB and Research Ethics Committee should have a standard format for proposal writing to be used by the students, as we know that there are many variations from one institute to another in the proposal format. So each institute should have its own format that will facilitate for the student to write their proposals. In addition, the proposal is submitted to an academic institute or to a donor agency. When you are planning to submit it to academic institute, then it is better to contact the academic institute if they have a standard format, and then use the standard format for writing the proposal. In addition, also we submit the proposal for donor agency for funding, for example, and then in this case we have to revise the mandate of the donor agency in order to find that if our research proposal is tallying with the mandate of the donor agency. The cover page of the research proposal should contain the following: the name of the university or the institute at the top, and then the title of the proposal, and the famous sentence: a proposal or statement, a proposal submitted in partial or fulfillment of the academic requirements of the master or PhD degree in a certain discipline, and as well as the candidate's name and the basic qualifications of the candidate, the supervisor's name, the academic qualification of the supervisors, and as well as the professional position of the supervisor. In addition, we can talk about the proposal title. The title is expected to be precise and concise, informative and specific, clear and easily understood by anyone, and as well as correct in the sense that it is free of spelling and grammatical mistakes. The format of the title could be purely descriptive. For example, we can formulate the title as Human Resources Development Capacity for Malaria Control in Sudan, or phrase as a statement of a positive and negative finding in declarative format, the need for human resources development by the National Malaria Control Program in Sudan, or phrased as a question. Some institutes require that the title can be phrased as a question using question format. Is the need for human resource development addressed by the National Malaria Control Program in Sudan? And it's better always to write important keywords first in the title so that they can be easily understood by the readers. Avoid using wasted words such as study of, investigation of, development of, observations on, survey of. Similarly, avoid including adjectives such as new, improved, novel, significant, important, validated, and sensitive. Write scientific names in full, for instance, Escherichia coli rather than E. coli, Entamoeba histolytica rather than EH, and it is better to refer to chemicals by their common or generic names rather than by formulae. Avoid using abbreviation or acronyms. They could have different meanings for different people. For instance, Ca or calcium could be mistaken for Ca, which means cancer. And it's better to eliminate redundant words such as verbs and articles so that the title functions as a label rather than a sentence. Use keywords which highlight the main contents of the proposal and can be easily understood, indexed, and retrieved by a database search engine. The title should indicate what and where and when the study will be conducted. And as well as usually the number of words of the title should not exceed 15 words. That is very important to care for so that it would not be too lengthy for the readers to understand the title. In addition, we talk about the introduction, and the researcher introduces comprehensively and briefly the research topic, including the definition, the description of the problem is strengthened with important statistical and epidemiological data, for example. In addition, the introduction should contain background information about the topic using updated literature. For example, if you are talking about multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, then it's important to have background information about multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, the geographical distribution, the determinants that influence the spread and dissemination of multi-drug resistant TB and so on, in addition to basic description of the problem, what is that problem, and then you go for problem statement and to formulate the research questions, and you state the hypothesis, and then the justification, the rationale at the end of the introduction. In the next videos, we are going to discuss in details the problem statement, the research question, the hypothesis, and the justification, etc. The introduction is certainly the most read part, the most read part and the most accessed part by people is the introduction. And it largely determines the attitude of the readers, of the editors, of the reviewers, of the supervisor, whether they will understand your problem and they will continue reading the remaining part or not. So it's very important to be very comprehensive and to write the introduction in an appropriate manner. And it's probably the most sensitive part of any writing report or thesis or proposal. The purpose of introduction is to stimulate the reader's interest and to provide updated relevant background information with cited references necessary to understand the remaining part of the proposal. It places the work in a theoretical and professional context, for example, to enable the readers to apprehend the research question, the objectives, and the remaining parts of the proposal and which design you are planning to use. The introduction summarizes the relevant literature so that the reader will understand why you are interested for these questions and you are trying to find answers for your research questions. Usually in the introduction, we move from general to specific. We give background information generally, and then we go specifically for the research problem and to address if any gaps are there. Usually move from what is known to what is not known, so that the introduction will be clear for the readers. Make clear the links between the research question and design, and between prior research and your study and previous literature. We use the present tense except for what you did or found, which should be in the past. Common errors encountered in the introduction include missing important elements such as problem statement, hypothesis, questions, and justification. Sometimes we come upon proposals where the problem statement is missing, or the hypothesis is missing, or the questions are missing. This is a common error. In addition, another error is that the investigator contains irrelevant literature to the study. And for example, in the background, when you go for the literature, you find it irrelevant to the research topic. And in addition, a common error also is that the introduction is too lengthy. Some investigators tend to write a massive literature and details in the introduction. You have to be very precise. You have to focus and to address the research problem and the theoretical, within theoretical context or professional context, with a problem statement clear and well-formulated research questions and a strong justification or rationale to convince the readers that the topic is important and deserve to be searched. Also, we need to include data analysis plan. Either you are planning to conduct the data analysis manually or through using appropriate computerized statistical package, which is very important. And then you describe your plan process, including univariate analysis, bivariate analysis, or multivariate analysis, and which statistical tests you are planning to use. Now we come for the to discuss the work plan, which is also required as part of the research proposal. And this is a schedule of the various activities and tasks that are to be conducted. And this will help in organizing and monitoring of the planned activities and whether they are being implemented or not. It is better to use Gantt chart software to visualize the schedule, activity, and the task over time. And this will facilitate for both the investigator and other readers to follow up the sequence of events and whether these tasks have been implemented or not. For example, in this slide, you can see in the column, we have the scheduled activity starting with discussion, finalization of the proposal, going up to submission of the final report. And also, we have subdivided the remaining part of the chart in week 1, 2, and 3 up to week 12. And this will show exactly the timeline of the research project during its implementation. Now we come to the budget. It's important to include a reasonable budget for the research, and we have to include broadly the budgetary items, and it is better to avoid exaggeration in budgetary items and to be as possible reasonable. For example, the main budgetary items include salary for the staff, travel and transport fees, to purchase equipment and laboratory agents, printing, photocopying, and internet services, consultancy charges, etc. These are very important to include as budgetary items. We are going to discuss in the coming videos details about the problem statement and formulation of the research questions and the rationale and other parts. Thank you very much.